Yes.
All right. Today's the day.
It's Monday.
Yes.
Today's the day.
Before we get started, we need Blackout Rashad on Monday.
All right. Yeah. I was just saying Happy Veterans Day. Let's get
Happy
Veterans Day to all our veterans.
Yes.
I know the kids off from school. Banks are closed. Bond markets are closed. Market was open today.
Yeah, all those who served. Edwin, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Art, I appreciate you. Yeah. My
all our veterans. Love is love.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, shout out to everybody that watched Blackout, man.
Yes. Phenomenal performance.
Appreciate y'all. Appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Run those numbers.
Great show.
Run the numbers.
If you have not watched Blackout, watch the replay. Man, so much talked about as far as Trump,
Elon,
Bitcoin, what's next, the Democrats.
Oh,
so much to talk about.
You get any texts from the Democrats?
Nah.
Yo, crazy enough, man.
They got bigger issues on their hands.
Yeah.
No text. I did not get a text. I did get a text the night of the election.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't received a text since then.
Not since, yeah.
All the group chats that were once popping and tried to
die down.
But I spoke to a few of my
try to take us out of the group chats.
Few of my friends on the inside. So shout out to like Jamal Bowman and people like that. Like, you know, I spoke to them just some regular commentary, but nobody from like, you know, I think they got bigger
fish to fry.
They got to deal with things internally and figure it out. But hey, it is what it is. Today's a new day, and we have a lot to talk about. Bitcoin headed towards 90,000.
Yes,
fastly approaching 90,000.
Yep.
And historical moment. So we're gonna be talking with Mike Novogratz, our guy Mike Novogratz, Bitcoin billionaire.
He knows a thing or two.
So yeah, we're gonna be talking with him. He's interesting because he's one of these guys. I think he says I Googled. I think his net worth is up to like $6 billion. But I don't know for sure. I'm gonna ask him. But they said 85% of his net worth is in crypto.
A smart move.
So
hyper concentration. Once again, diversification is for people who don't know what they're doing.
So we'll see. But yeah, we're gonna bring him on a little bit. We're gonna talk about Tesla. We're gonna talk about TSM, China. There's a lot to talk about in the market right now. But first, Blackout. If you enjoyed it, we're back this week, 10 o'clock Wednesday. We have Jay Wan on. The Younger World. Shout out to him. Come from a legendary family in hip hop. Jadakiss's son.
914.
But he's been making a name for himself just with Joe Budden's podcast, and just he's becoming a media personality in his own right.
Smart.
Speaks for the young generation.
Very opinionated.
Yeah, you know what was dope? And speaking for the younger generation is that he has not omitted or done the research of the generation before him. So obviously his pops is prominent in the fabric of hip hop and its history, but he went back on his own because the things I'm hearing him talking about, I'm like,
yeah, you weren't there for that.
You really been a student of this and been paying homage and has a future trajectory for what the music and this media industry. He's killing it, man. Shout out to him.
So shout out to him. That'll be Wednesday. So we're gonna get the young world perspective on different topics. Always good to get the youth involved. So that'll be dope conversation. And then Thursday, we're doing a live. We're going back to our series. We took 1 week off. We're going back to our Earning Leisure series. And this is the one that everybody's been asking about. You know, you saw the developments that we've done in Ghana. We're going to be doing a live with the guys.
Oh, that's incredible. Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to have Shaka Bars will be on.
Shouts to the bro.
We're going to have Kwame. We're going to have Alvin, Tui. So the guys that's actually in Ghana, the business developer guys, then we're going to have Shaka Bars, who put this whole play together, activists. And then so it's going to be 3 continents covered because we're in America, they're in Ghana, and Shaka Bars is in Thailand. So we got Asia, Africa, American connection that's going to be happening simultaneously. We're going to explain the whole thing in detail, explain the situation if you want to get involved as an investor to buy a home. We're going to talk about Ghana. We're going to talk about the landscape of investing in Africa, ROIs, the returns have been over the course of the last decade, Airbnb opportunities, very technical business. And then we're going to have the African side of it from Shaka. He's going to talk about the transatlantic slave trade and how it all relates back, and Kwame Nkrumah, and he's going to give some historical documentation, which is important. So that's going to be a dope episode, man. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to be educational.
It's going to be informative.
Definitely going to be informative on the business side. So all roads lead to Africa. If you're interested in learning more about Ghana specifically, but just Africa as a whole, investment opportunities, what's going on, do's and don'ts, how not to get caught up in bad deals.
That's a great point.
That's important too.
Off rip.
Because a lot of people's going into different countries and they just buying stuff and not even understanding how it actually, every country is different. So how things work in America is not necessarily how they work in Ghana or China or Mexico. So when doing business, it's vitally important to understand the laws of the land, but also the people that can really
get it done.
And Shaka Bars, congratulations! He's becoming a citizen. He's actually
that's a fact.
He about to become a Ghanaian citizen. He got his citizen join in 3 weeks. He going to actually get his passport. And all.
Live stream the ceremony, please.
Shaka.
Man, he ain't been back home in probably 6 years. I don't even know if he's even a UK citizen anymore. He's full-fledged African
traveler.
But
Africa or Muay Thai. He's Muay Thai fighting.
For real.
Play around with Shaka if you want.
If you want to, yeah, for real.
I've seen him do some survival tactics that I'm like, nah, bro, that's man versus wild for real.
Yeah.
Play with him if you want.
Shout out to Shaka, man. That dude's crazy, man. Ian, any announcements?
Keyword of the day, international arbitrage. Tune in Thursday. If you want to get rich from the market, want to know where to get in, where to get out, go to ianinvest.com, the companies to stay away from. This month, I will be including all of the picks that I think will do well with Trump being in office in 2025. Also, shout out to the 3 new members of Red Panda who have become millionaires. I'm proud of y'all. I put that up on IG this past weekend, so that was amazing to see. Yeah. Shout out to everybody who got into Bitcoin at 20,000 when I called it. And let's have an amazing show.
Yeah, shout out to DC. We were in DC. We didn't mention that, but we were in DC this weekend. Yeah. Shout out to Cedric Nash and Black Wealth Summit. And it's crazy that you just said that because it made me think of some of the people that were coming up to us. And a gentleman, I'll leave his name anonymous, but showed me his portfolio and was like, yo, I made $1 million. Yeah. I was like, wow. Yeah. Like, I'm as excited as he is. And he was there with his wife. And she was like, look, he watches y'all all the time and there's no way I'm going to stop him now. So shout out to everybody that's executing on the information. Finding information, really doing it, man. Really doing it. That's dope. So you know how this works, man. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It's very important that you do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you find on our show and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. As always, this is a message brought to you by the good brothers at Earn Your Leisure and the good brother Ian Dunlap, the master investor himself. Do the research, share the research. Yes. Most importantly, execute on the research. A man tells you something's going down to 20,000, it gets there, and you're looking like, oh, it might go lower. Shame on you.
Shame on you, yo.
Sure.
Shame on you. Here we are, 84.
That's a fact.
For real.
So I know everybody wants to talk about Bitcoin, but before we get to Bitcoin, there's other investments that have gone up tremendously as well. And of course, Tesla comes to mind. Mm-hmm. So Tesla had another stellar performance today. $25. It's been going up over $20 a day for the last 3 days.
It's up 30% since the election.
And Tesla is one of these stocks that, very rarely does one individual stock get tied to a presidential election, right? Because it's a general overall economy. It's like, but Tesla kind of breaks that exception because the influence that Elon Musk had, A, on the election, and B, on Trump. Even now, I saw he's actually like camped out in Mar-a-Lago right now.
Yeah, he's been in Mar-a-Lago for a bit. Yep.
He's with Trump every day, playing golf, eating dinner, eating lunch. He's in the interviews because they're actually going over like what the cabinet is going to look like, who's the appointees. And from what CNN say, Elon is approving everyone or not approving everyone and giving his suggestions and talking to world leaders. Zelensky said he was on the phone with him. So he's in pocket, as close as you could possibly be.
Mm-hmm.
They said he might create his own position in the cabinet.
And he don't even need a position because the thing with creating a position is going to be extremely difficult.
Yeah, title. Yeah.
So it's like he's better as just an unofficial advisor.
Yeah. And also from government contracting too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's going to benefit dramatically from that.
If you ever looked at Game of Thrones, my favorite character was Tyrion Lannister. Was my favorite character, and because it's always the guy next to the king with the most power, right? And the way that he masterminded the whole situation, that's somebody that I really related to. So I say that to say,
oh, let me clean. He was never next to. They're gonna kill you. So I'll just. He was never the king's hand, but he was smart enough to be close enough to the king's hand.
He was in the mix.
He was in the mix always.
Always. He's in a circle.
So Elon is going to be in the mix, and as a result, Tesla stock is skyrocketing. So, all right. Having said that, how far can it go? Because that's the obvious question. How far can it go? Is it doomed for a pullback? Short sellers lost a bunch of money on it.
5.2 billion
already.
Yeah.
So what's the future of this Tesla stock situation?
Number one, I want to tell short sellers to stop shorting stocks because there's limited upside unless you're shorting an option or a future equivalent of it. But if you're just flat out short selling the stock, too much risk on the downside to any publicly traded equity. The price I have it going to 520.28, so $520.28 within the next 16 months. Will it pull back? Yes, of course. But of course, him being so close to Trump, I told everybody 6 months ago he was going to be a better version of Dick Cheney. And here we are. I got a little villain arc theory about Elon. I'm going to get you one day, but for right now, we'll talk about the brilliance of him aligning himself with Trump for the benefit of his business. Starlink, as a result, will do very well. There was a reason why he was on the phone with Zelensky. It will help Starlink tremendously in 2026 or 2027. But of course, for all the people who keep saying, why are you guys covering politics, stick to stocks? I keep telling you, the policies will mandate which sectors will do incredibly well. Like if there was no bailout package in 2008 for the country and interest rates went to zero, there would be no capital that flowed into tech. So politics do affect what stocks are going to perform well, and him having a direct tie to Trump and the entire cabinet is going to be, I'm not going to say control, but he's going to have, like Rashad said, a direct impact and selection over. It is going to be for his benefit, and Tesla's going to be one of the beneficiaries over the next 3 years as a result.
Yeah, I mean, it's the beneficiary right now, overwhelmingly. And I think if people are thinking because it's that the Tesla car is moving, you're very short-sighted. I know that you can now lease the Cybertruck, but that's not what's doing this. It's definitely his closeness to the situation and how it affects his business. In fact, I saw the new term, defense AI. And I was like, ooh, defense AI. This is the new thing. Like, this is a new thing. And so at the front of that is going to be a SpaceX, right? But a Palantir is a part of that as well.
Palantir, Meta are partnering too.
You see what I'm saying? Like, all these things make sense. In fact, when he's on the phone with the presidents of these other countries, it's not even to discuss strategy. They're thanking him, right? Like, Zelensky, he's saying thank you for allowing us to have Starlink. This is how we were using communication, right? When he's on the phone with the president, they're thanking him, they're praising him. But now it gets him in more positions, right? Foreign countries are now looking at it like, wait, we need to have this technology as well. Or why don't we have this technology yet? And how can we utilize it? I mean, he's in prime position. If you look at all the target prices, I mean, this is only 5 days, right? Like, we haven't even hit a full week since the election. The target prices have gone, and this is from Loop, this is from Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, Piper Sandler. You had it over 500. Their average was about 460. Yeah. Which is an extreme upside from right now. So would it be like behoove you to invest in it? No,
it would be great. And I told you guys a 212 on a pullback. Also, on a political side too, Rashad and Troy, you guys talk about the power of networking. I talked to somebody in Trump camp yesterday. He said one of the things that they've been doing for the last 3 months was just calling all the Democratic donors who had not been called by Biden or Barack the last 12 years. That's like, take the political leaning out of it. If the person that you donated money to never called you after, then Trump and Elon starts calling you.
Yeah, the
Hell of a chess move.
The only thing that, and this goes back to when people talk about economic policy, and I told you like political intelligence, I said this over the weekend, is something that we need to study a little bit deeper. It's like when we talk about deregulation, that's going to help a guy like Elon who has a war chest of capital, right?
Yes.
So like when we see companies and we talk about mergers and acquisitions, these are the things that they're saying that we're going to see a lot more of: mergers and acquisitions, right? Companies being bought and out of their rights, and now they're being part of a larger entity.
Yeah.
If there's deregulation, we're going to see a lot more of that. They're expecting even now there's going to be more IPOs in 2025.
Finally.
Right, like we saw that during the pandemic, right? That microcosm where it was an influx, and we saw these SPAC deals, and then now it's slowed down. The IPO market has slowed down. Some of the companies that we thought were going to IPO haven't, right? Like when we talked about that is expected to pick up in 2025. But the mergers and acquisitions is going to be interesting. Who is now going to be acquired, right? Because what we've saw over the past 4 years is that when a large company tried to create a mergers and acquisition proposition,
had some roadblocks.
Here comes the roadblocks. Here comes, you got to meet in front of Congress. Here comes a delay. Oh, this is going to take 5 to 6 years.
Yeah.
If some of those barriers aren't in the way for large companies like Microsoft, like Apple, like NVIDIA, you're going to see a lot more flow. So like that's part of it. We have to make sure that we're focused on that, and like who they have their eyes on, who they're working with is number one, right?
Yes.
If they're working with them, they already have the relationship, but who's looking to acquire?
Yeah, I think also an underrated part of his empire is his government contracts. He had 300 government contracts just last year awarded to SpaceX and Tesla just last year. So obviously he probably is going to be able to do whatever he wants to do with the United States government. And the thing with the government is that it's the number one spender.
Yes. See,
the number one spender. Facts. That goes back to the whole DEI conversation as well, because a lot of these government agencies have programs in place for minority business women and minority business owners. People don't even know or take advantage of them. We've done several episodes about it. But long story short is that the government spends money with private businesses. They spend more money with private businesses than anybody in the world. So they spend a lot of money with Elon Musk on the Tesla side, on the SpaceX side.
Yeah.
And that's going to, grow, right? He's probably locked in way more government contracts, being that he's going to pretty much be running the government, allegedly.
I mean, you would assume that spending will go up, and the thing is, like, how do you stop it, right? Like, if you don't have control of Congress, you don't go like. How do you get in front of that to say, all right, they have government contracts. He's working very close with the president. He has his private company. What do you?
And his products are better. Like if you look at Starlink versus Comcast, which company would you invest in? SpaceX versus Boeing. He had to go save one of those ships from Boeing. He's owed some favors from that. So like I was talking to somebody on Twitter this weekend. You can't be pro Boeing and pro Tesla. You have to pick one. That's there are different trades. So like if you're long SpaceX in the future, you're really saying in theory that you're short in Boeing, and that SpaceX will be the new Boeing for this era.
That's a fact. We'll monitor the situation, but all signs point to Elon getting a lot more power, a lot more influence. And they on the SEC, remember the SEC tried to investigate him. Now there's rumblings that the SEC chair is going to get fired. So
you were about to lose your job. Like crazy.
And then hopefully Ripple can finally move up how it's supposed to.
So Elon's he's gonna be running this thing like with an iron fist. We'll see.
Yeah, he just crossed 300 billion.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing chess move. We've got to give him credit for that.
Yeah,
sure, definitely.
With still room to grow.
Well spent. A very calculated decision that he made. Okay. Before we go to the next topic, I do want to say thank you to everybody that purchased our book on the pre-order.
Yes.
But I've been getting a lot of DMs, and so I just want to say this. I'm just going to say this again. I appreciate everybody that bought the book, and at the offer, you get Troy's option boot camp. People kind of are losing how to actually get access to this. So if you go to You Deserve to Be Rich book, youdeservetoberich.book.com, on that landing page, it gives you links to like Barnes and Nobles or Amazon. You can buy the book from any of those links, but you go back to the landing after you buy the book, you go back to the landing page, and right after that, on the scroll down, there's a form that says special bonus offer, right? You enter your information, you enter your transaction code that like, so if you bought it from Amazon, transaction code is 17600. Enter that transaction code into your email, into your name, and then you will be granted access to the stock options bootcamp video that you could just download on your computer. So I know that some people had some problems with that because I got a lot of DMs. So we have extended that offer for another day, right? Because I want to make sure that everybody has a full opportunity to actually get this. I don't want anybody to feel cheated in it. So that's been extended, but it's only for one day. So if you go to youdeservetoberich.book.com, if you buy the book, audio book included, you get free access to the 60-minute stock option bootcamp video, which goes over in detail how to set up and start trading stock options.
And shout out to everybody that actually did it and DM'd and said, "Yo, I already started trading."
A lot of people
they already started. They took advantage of it.
And like I said, I mean, they might have been a little confused because if you go to Amazon, they might have thought that Amazon was going to send you the link.
No,
but just wanted to,
understandable.
It's
follow the protocol.
It's just clarification.
We're here for you.
It's all clarification. But so there's still an opportunity. Long story short, if you're interested, the book alone way worth the value. But then when you add that bonus, to me, it's a no-brainer. Christmas time is coming, so buy 3 and give it to your family. Okay. Just having said that.
Yeah, fact.
Great job, by the way.
Educators, buy it for your school.
Appreciate it. TSM.
Yeah.
Is a company that we've talked about a lot. And so today we broke the news this morning that the U.S. has ordered TSM to halt shipments to China of chips used in AI applications. So the U.S. government has directed Taiwan Semiconductor to stop shipping advanced chips to Chinese customers. This order includes chips with designs of 7 nanometers or more advanced, specifically those powered AI accelerators and GPUs. So that's not a good thing, you would think. And as a result, the stock is down $8 today. So, it's a complicated issue because obviously China and Taiwan have a very tense relationship.
Yeah.
But they're actually doing business with China, which is a lesson within itself. But the geopolitical risk of this escalating from Taiwan being invaded by China, but even now having a disruption in their customer base by the U.S. telling them what to do and not letting them sell products to China. That's interesting. So how is this going to play out for TSM?
Well, they're going to do like NVIDIA did and just make another chip to sell directly to China. I mean, this is the crazy part. Like this, there's already been a mandate for this. I get it. But if you're doing business with an arch nemesis and you stop supplying them, wouldn't that give China more reason to go in and take what they thought was theirs anyway? So you already took what I believe is mine. Not saying this is true, but I believe this territory is mine. And now you're going to mandate that they stop supplying me with the chip that is, TSM, you should hurry up. And hopefully you knew this was coming. And you manufacture a chip that you can sell specifically for China with maybe not as a great tech. Or China going to be at your doorstep in 2026.
Yeah, so this is interesting. This is interesting because not only does it affect TSM, and we've gone over this, but this affects the entire semiconductor space, right? This disrupts supply chain. The first idea was that, right? Let's figure out a chip that we can sell that's not 7 nanometers, which means 5, 3, and I know some companies are working down to 2.
Yeah.
With the 5 we spoke about, AMD uses. The 3 is what NVIDIA is down to using. Broadcom is at 5 as well in terms of nanometers. But it also brings up this company that I know we've put the death certificate on, but it does raise a question about Intel. Because, right, like there's, for some reason, if you look at the CHIPS Act, and I know they said that they were going to do away with it, and then it was like, no, I know we said it, but we're probably not going to do it. The largest receiver of capital from that CHIPS Act is Intel.
What a bad investment. Think
about that. But U.S. company, right, that is going to have foundries. They're not even making 7 nanometers yet, right? Or they might just be in that process. And so it starts to open up the door for American semiconductors. And so now I'm looking at a Micron a little bit differently, right? Yes. I already loved it, but now I might like it even more.
A little bit more. Yep.
A little bit more. It also talks about how fast the infrastructure can be built in Arizona for this TSM plant, right? Because if that invasion happens, I know they said 2027 it'll be ready. And you know,
hurry up
too. And it's I think they're up to an $8 billion cost for this now. 2027 might be too far. Right, they might have to start expediting this thing up to move a little bit faster, but even still, that doesn't do away with. I mean, that helps in terms of invasion from China, but it still doesn't. It knocks out a market. Like China is a market. You need that market, right? It's the largest economy in the next 20 years. We foresee it being the #1 economy in the world. You need that base, so they got to figure this out. This is interesting news. I'm not alarmed yet. But we definitely have to monitor this situation very, very closely because of the supply chain issue that it affects if something happens to that company.
Yeah, I do want to see what the response is going to be. Even a more egregious mistake than some of the campaign that has happened over the last 3 months. But if you take away the contract from TSM to China and try and give it to Intel, boy.
They're keeping it alive for a reason, right? Like
it's going to have to go somewhere else. Intel, send that money back and let them get that shit to NVIDIA or AMD. This may be one of the worst investments of all time. Like, imagine had this been us, had the government gave us all this money and it went to Intel, the scrutiny we would face. Once again, Intel hasn't hit a new high since 2000.
Yeah,
no one wants the Pentium 2. Shout out to everybody at HQ, but like you've lost this race. Yeah, it's just unbelievable that this happened. But yeah, TSM, that plant in Arizona, they need to find some Chinese workers, move them to Arizona, build that plant faster before we have a all-out war in 2027. I hope
so. Their preliminary agreement with the government is for $8.5 billion in grants, right? And if you've ever been to college or you just leaving high school, you know a grant is money that you don't pay back.
Yes.
8.5 billion in grants and up to 11 billion in loans for their
shout out to whoever they had lobby though on behalf of that though. Right. Job well done.
Well, will Trump repeal it?
The CHIPS Act?
Yeah.
Well, the first news is that they were like he was running on this campaign, right?
Yeah.
And even Representative Speaker Johnson was saying that this is something that we're going to get rid of. And then the day after the election,
it changed his tone.
Yeah. You know what? On better evidence, we're probably not going to do that. We probably do that. Yeah.
You should repeal giving the money to Intel. That'll make America great.
Yeah. If you're trying to advance in the race for AI, then that would make no sense. You can't repeal it. Doesn't make sense.
That's one of the few sectors that we are still dominant. And this is really a race of us versus China. That's why this is being done. We cannot lose this piece on the chessboard. We cannot. So that's why I've been so critical about the government giving the money to Intel.
For sure. All right. Well, we'll monitor the situation. But without further ado, let's bring up our esteemed guest.
The legend himself.
How's it going?
See you guys.
Hey,
see you, brother.
How's it going?
Long time no see, man.
It's been a good day for or good week for a crypto guy. There's no doubt about that. We saw each other right before the election, and I was leaning the other way in terms of who I wanted to be president, but I knew I was kind of hedged in that if Trump won, he was going to be great for crypto, and the market believes it. Right. We had 4 years of regulatory purgatory. For those of you who don't go to church, purgatory is that place in between heaven and hell.
Heaven and hell,
like
yeah.
it was miserable.
Yeah.
And while it was starting to change in the Democrats, if Harris had won, we're going to change it. Trump seized on the idea that these crypto guys care about freedom, and he could kind of get the crypto bros on his side and leaned in. And his cabinet is filled with people that love crypto. And in some ways, now every institution is going to need to participate. And so we've gone from 66 right before the election to 86 right now on Bitcoin. Next stop's 100K. But even more importantly than the short-term price, you're going to start seeing big investments made. And so companies like ours, our stock's gone, from 16 to 27, knock on wood. Coinbase is up, all the crypto companies. And there's not a lot of supply yet in equities.
Well, we jumped right into it. But first and foremost, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Sorry about that.
No, that's amazing. You had a great week.
It's all good. It's all good. I could understand.
Yeah.
All right. So Mike Novogratz, very accomplished hedge fund manager, investor, entrepreneur, Bitcoin billionaire.
So I heard Bitcoin billionaire and I started smiling and then I lost you.
So are we you can hear us now? We
Yep.
good? Okay. Yeah, Bitcoin billionaire. Do you embrace that?
I was lucky enough to become a billionaire like in 2007. I was at Fortress. And so making lots of money in Bitcoin was a little easier for me because when I first bought it, I bought a lot, right? If you have a lot of money, it wasn't a lot in percentage terms, but it was a lot notionally. And this is one of I bought Bitcoin at $98 and I bought a lot of it. And it's one of the few assets. We got guys that are billionaires that literally, I know a guy that's worth like 4 billion and his total spend on Bitcoin was 25,000. He just never sold any. There's never been an asset in my lifetime where if you got in early and you held, you just made, stupid amounts of money. And so, this has been a very good week for people that have big stacks of Bitcoin. And, there are a lot of them.
So where are we headed? I know, even when we spoke at your podcast, you talked about and potentially years down the line, 500,000, right? That's always been the magical thing of how far can Bitcoin really go? So now that we have Trump.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it can now start fulfilling those things. Not right away, but, if gold is now a $17 trillion asset, right? Bitcoin at 86 is a $1.7 trillion asset. So that would be 860. Yeah. 860K would make it gold. And if Bitcoin's going higher, gold's going higher. And so that's how you can get to 1 million, or 5 years as young people, inherit money from their grandparents who are all going to start dying off. I mean, one of the big things that crypto's got going for it is the old people are going to die and the old people own all the money, right? The baby boomers are by far the wealthiest generation in the history of our country and in the history of the world. And as they start, passing on, I said this about, Charlie Munger, who lived to be late 90s, but most men die at 76. If they're lucky, you go to the mid 80s. As they pass on and that money comes to their family, the kids are much more likely to buy crypto than the grandparents.
When we talk about what we've seen over the past week, and again, we saw each other right before the election, so this is very interesting. The growth has been incredible, right? We're at over 84,000 for the first time in history. What about Trump being president, when we talk about policy and regulation, what specific things have elevated it for the person who's like, wait, this thing is going, why is it going up?
Yeah. So first of all, he has already said he won't sell any of the Bitcoin that the government already owns, which is about $20 billion. So that's a lot of supply that's not going to hit the market. So that's one. Two is, and much more importantly, he's going to pick ahead of the SEC, ahead of the CFTC, ahead of the FDIC, head of the OCC, right, who regulates banks, the head of the Fed and the head of the Treasury, people that like Bitcoin. that like crypto, that like digital assets, that see this as part of America's future. And so people make policy, right? The head of the SEC determines who he wants to go after. My guess is a lot of the regulatory headaches that my firm has had and the industry has had are going to go away in this new regime. It's not like it's going to be a free-for-all. They'll have some rules, and Congress will pass really quickly, I think, pretty liberal rules around token issuance and around stable coins. And then we're off and running. And then we don't need to go to Washington to complain. Right now, it's up to the crypto community to build an industry.
For the last time you were here on Market Mondays, I appreciate you, was around the time I called Bitcoin would go to 20,000. Now it's at 86. Can you talk to the audience tonight about the importance of holding even through tumultuous times and how that gives you the wealth that we really want, even though trading may be looked at as an alternative to getting wealthy? Can you stress the importance of how important it is for us to hold for a 5 or 10-year period?
Yeah, listen, there are some investments that you want to hold for a long period of time because it's really hard to be a great market timer. And let's do this math. Let's assume you made $10,000 when Bitcoin went up to 25,000 and you sold it. Mm-hmm. And then it came down to 17,000 and you bought it back. Well, you're paying the tax on that first piece.
Yeah. And
it depending on where you live and what state, it's anywhere between 25 and 50% tax is you're going to end up paying. If it's short term or long term, it changes. So all those profits get cut in half. And then you let's say you buy it at the right level again and you ride it up and you sell it. You got to pay tax again. And if you miss buying it the next time, you might never buy it again.
Yeah.
And so, again, there are some things, and I would say in crypto, a lot of the shit coins, you bought them, they rode up real fast. I always say, take your money and never go back and kiss that girlfriend again.
It's good advice.
You got lucky in Shiba Inu or some other meme coin. Take your profits and never go back and that thing again. Right? Because that's a little bit of just being lucky and at the right place at the right time and having somebody, the core assets in crypto, which would really be at this point, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana.
Solana, yeah.
You want to hold those. Solana, I don't know if it will, but I could see Solana going from 210, 250, the old high. And next thing you know, we're going to be talking 800. And you'll be like, why? Well, because people are going to say, well, why shouldn't Solana be the same as Ethereum? And institutions want to do more than just buy Bitcoin. And so I would focus on those three as holds. And if you want to trade and be careful with all the chatter on Twitter or on podcast of, oh, I got the new hot coin. You can go in and make some money on those things. But I was looking back on I've been doing really crypto since 2013, but really since 2016, where all the new coins came out. There is not one sale I have made outside of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Besides Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, if you're going to do any other tokens, I would kind of say Uniswap and Aave would be the next couple. But broadly, when you start going down the line with, I don't care if it's a Polkadot or an Avalanche or you name it, a meme coin, they have their moment. Mm-hmm. And it's very hard for them to sustain a community because while the community's got a vested interest to bring more people in, they need a narrative and they need something that's starting to work. And we just don't have enough of that in crypto. And so what you see is something like Cardano was really exciting a few years back, and every year it's less exciting.
Yeah.
And so if you look at Bitcoin versus Cardano, you look like a fool for having lugged your Cardano bags, right? Yeah. If you had sold that and bought Bitcoin, take your loss and move it into Bitcoin, you made a lot of money. And so I would always use in crypto, Bitcoin as home base. And you want to kind of, the more sats you can stack, the more Bitcoin you can own over time. I really do believe, unless the government has it a wild about face, not just ours, but globally, Bitcoin prices are going to be a lot higher 5 years from now. And so your trading profits you should then store in Bitcoin, but like you should leave your Bitcoin alone.
Yeah. What do you think in 3 years? 300,000, 250?
Yeah, listen, a lot depends. If Trump does what Trump always does, which is spend, 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 and borrow, 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 we're going to be at 250, 300.
Yeah, I can see that.
If there's a miracle and Elon Musk comes in and says, we need to fix this deficit, we need to cut government spending, we need to, there's a miracle and this economy starts growing at 6% a year, 5% a year, and we bring the deficit down, Bitcoin's going to go up a lot slower, and it might even go down a little bit.
When we talk, okay.
But again, if you look like what someone's done in the past, and this is both Democrats and Republicans, they're getting elected by being populists. Populists promise the world to citizens. And what's complicated about the world right now is, like, this election that Harris lost was the first time in 140 years that every major incumbent party, every major party that was in power in the globe lost in the same year. Mm-hmm. Right? In Japan, in India, they all had a setback. In France, in
Mexico,
the UK, in Germany, right? People around the world are saying, we don't like the way the country is going, our country. And we said that in the US, 70% of people that left the polls said they weren't happy with the way the country is going. And so Harris had a big uphill battle, like Trump will have one now. And so people are trying to give more benefits, more tax cuts to the broad masses. And even with that, it's not helping. So it's a very complicated boat to navigate through the swamp here. And we'll see how they do. I'm praying they do well.
You brought up Cardano, so I just want to go back there just for a sec. Charles Hoskinson, the founder of Cardano blockchain, he announced that he's going to be working with the Trump team to establish crypto policy and regulation. There's a chance that he could become the crypto guru for the team. So I'm thinking, obviously, what happened with Elon, and obviously completely different situations, but staying close to the administration, the benefits that it's had for Tesla. Is there an opportunity there for Cardano to see some uptick? It has since the election, but to continue to see that uptick?
I don't think so. I don't know Charles well. I don't know the protocol well. I just have followed it for years, and it doesn't seem to do much. And they're always trying for a new narrative. And so it was really smart for Charles to do that. I don't think the Trump team is going to pick Charles Hoskinson as their guy. Again, I'm not so close, though. I'm going down Wednesday to meet with Howard Lutnick, who's the head of the transition team. I'm going to speak at his conference, and I'll learn something from him. But my guess is, with this, he's got a lot of smart crypto people around him. Mm-hmm. And I've never met a smart crypto person that had a big Cardano bag. Mm-hmm. Retail guys did. And listen, people made a lot of money in 2021. Yeah. But they haven't done well since. But, when you look at the other people that supported the Trump campaign, the Winklevoss brothers, the guys from, Tushar Jain, he's a big Solana guy. None of them are Cardano guys. And so I'd be very surprised to see Trump say he's my guy.
So, what is on you?
Yeah, well, I have to ask, the audience wants to know, what are your thoughts on XRP and how you think it'll do?
XRP has literally been stuck between
for 4 years,
50 to 58. And I don't know what Brad Garlinghouse and his team need to do to get it to get unstuck. Part of it is that they sell a lot, right, to fund lots of other things, and so they're buying good assets, but they've been selling $1 billion-ish of XRP every 6 months, or sometimes more, sometimes less. So that's supply. The ecosystems that do the best have all their supply already distributed, right? Nobody owns more than 1% of Bitcoin, right? Or maybe there's a guy who owns 2% or something, but or of Ethereum. So there are no giant concentrations. Where in XRP, Ripple Labs, the company still owns, I think, roughly 50% of the total XRPs. And so that and you see that with what happened with WorldCoin. There's so much supply, and it's hard to rally through that supply. The markets have gotten smarter about it. And so, again, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana already distributed, right? So there's not this giant distribution coming.
So, two-part question. You kind of mentioned that the deficit, paraphrasing, is kind of good for Bitcoin's price, right? Like, as long as we kind of are owing trillions of dollars, then that, because I'm assuming that's the hedge of inflation, right? That's not, right?
100%.
Okay, so that's tied to that. That's interesting. But
so
also,
if Trump gets the deficit to come way down and debt to GDP starts coming down, well, that's a really good thing. And then I think you'll see Bitcoin not go up as fast. I'm just skeptical that, a president who, ramped up the deficit last time when he was in power before COVID is going to see the light. And I think it's hard to, because the only way you're really going to get the deficit down is cut Medicare, cut Social Security. And those are like really hard things politically to deal with. And how are you going to cut them? You're going to means test them so rich people aren't going to get them. You're going to take the age when one can retire from 65 to 68 for some people, 70 the people that haven't been born yet. That's hard medicine for people. But think about our budget. Our budget is $6.75 trillion right now. 57% of it is Medicare, Social Security, and interest payments.
Yeah.
Then you throw the military in, probably another close to 20%, and you're at 75% before you even start talking about, so you have 25% of the budget to deal with when you think you can make cuts. And Trump's going to cut taxes, not raise taxes. And so it's just hard to see where this deficit is going to collapse.
Yeah.
No, it's a fact. So one thing I want to say is that Bitcoin, you've obviously been in Bitcoin for a long time. So the vicious cycles of pullbacks and so
painfully so.
Yeah, the crypto winters, right? Are we out of that phase and it's just a normal investment cycle where we just have pullback? We don't have 50, 40, 70% pullback, or could we potentially see another drastic pullback?
I think we won't go back below 72,000 for the next 18 months. I just don't think we will. We've spent so much time in that, consolidating new high, took the high out. I think we measure 97,000 is our next target, 100,000, and then we might get into a range between 180 for a while before it goes up again. But if you go back below the election day, something went wrong.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to get really nervous.
What do you think? No, go ahead, Troy.
I was gonna say one of the things that people obviously they've watched this phenomenon for the past 5 to 6 years very closely. Maybe they got involved, maybe they didn't. But one of the things that holds people out is the trust. And so you brought up stable coins. Obviously, USDT leads in that space. What are your thoughts around USDT? And is there another stable coin on the rise that can help bring or encourage that trust in this space?
Well, listen, so Tether is, the dominant coin for a lot of reasons, right? Chinese moving money offshore, people using it for liquidity. But Tether doesn't share the interest difference between where treasury bills are and zero with anybody, right? It's one of the great businesses I've ever seen. So the team that owns Tether make a fortune. Howard Lutnick, Trump's head of transition, is very involved with Tether. He's facilitates their buying and selling of treasuries. So it's a big business for him. So he's got a vested interest in keeping that dog alive. Jeremy Allaire with USDC, he's the U.S. based regulated stablecoin. He keeps most of those profits himself. So he's fighting for his, regulation. This is a national security discussion, right? Right now, stablecoins they're like the 15th largest owner of treasuries in the world, right? We issue treasuries to fund our debt. I would tell you 4 years from now, they'll be the third or the fourth largest owner of treasuries in the world, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you're the Secretary of Treasury, who's responsible for funding this giant deficit, do you want someone who controls $1 trillion maybe of treasuries to be regulated in the U.S., or do you want to be sitting in Europe or in Montenegro or, who can always say, hey, I'm selling them, right? I think you're going to see stablecoin legislation that really favors the home turf because it's national security. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have foreign ownership, but I'm guessing everything's going to have to be here in the U.S. But I don't know. That's just my guess.
A two-parter for you. Speaking of treasuries, the bond market's been down since 21. When do you think we'll recover? And then as far as debt to GDP, what do you think happens first? Us going to 150, unfortunately, or dropping to 100 within the next maybe 5 to 7 years?
Well, that's the $50,000 question.
Yeah.
Listen, I pray we go down. How do you do that? You have to inflate away your debt quietly. That means running inflation at 4%, but not letting it go to 10% or 15%. And so it's a really tricky job that the next Secretary of Treasury and Fed governor have. I hard plane to land that if you put a gun to my head, 150 is more likely than 100. But I'm praying every night, literally as a good American, that we get to 100.
You got another part to that question here?
Oh, just on your thoughts on when you thought the bond market overall would recover. Something I've been talking about for a while. We've been down since 2021. Do you think there'll ever be an uptick back in TOT?
It's the biggest question. Like, it doesn't feel like owning bonds is a smart idea, but everyone has that idea. Mm-hmm. And already the yield curve's flattening, not steepening with Trump. And bonds aren't selling off as much as we might have thought they would. And so there might be some volatility in the bond market short term. I don't see a lot of value in 30 years at 450.
Yeah.
I just don't. We're going to have to run inflation. And, the commodity markets were telling me, Bitcoin's telling me that inflation is more likely than not.
Yeah.
And so the days of 0% inflation, I think, are over.
Yeah, they're done.
Now, where could I be wrong? We get robots and AI that are so freaking out of this world that everything gets done at a lot cheaper price. That could, it literally could. And so you got to have an open mind. Like, AI is changing things so quickly, and it really hasn't started. That's the crazy part. All of this stuff is being built now.
Yeah.
And so what we really got to look at is AI in 5 years. And it might scare the living shit out of us. Just how cool it is.
What do you think, Solana? Why Solana? Because you're anti altcoins for the most part. So why Solana? And what do you say to people that are looking? They have not invested in Bitcoin. They're like, it's $90,000. I mean, what am I going to do now?
Yeah, listen, I don't think you're going to get, when you bought it at 100 and it went to 90,000, you literally could have put $10,000 in and made a fortune, right? Now I think you're not going to, you might buy it at 86 and it could get to 500 in 5 years or 10 years. That's a nice return, 5 times your money. but if you put $10,000 in, you're getting 50. It's not 10,000 to $1 million. Solana has a little more upside because it's starting with a lower market cap. Could Solana become the next Ethereum? Of course it could. It's processing more transactions and it does them cheaper. And it's a very, efficient blockchain. And it's got a story and it's got a big community around it. All of these blocks are still narratives because they're not being used enough in the real world for you and I to say, oh, let's do a discounted cash flow model on this thing, right? What we're saying is, what's the story that I'm going to tell to get more people in this community? And I think part of what happened with lots of the smaller ecosystems is the young kids in the U.S. went to sports betting, went to the stock market, went to options, right? Remember when we had the crazy DGen 2021 monster, wacko rally and everything, people were sitting at home with extra cash from the government, couldn't go out and spend it. And so the first crypto maniac cycle in 21 literally came from this retail hype cycle. And I think there'll be some of that this time, but a lot of it's going to be institutional money coming in who's going to keep it simple or stupid. The old KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So you're not going to get the pension fund that says, hey, give me some of that, Dogecoin or Shiba or let me load up on Pudgy Penguins.
The good old Pudgy Penguins.
Pudgy Penguin play.
Mike, when we talk about investing in the space, obviously we've seen the appreciation. It's been incredible. The average person still may not have an account on Coinbase or has any idea what Binance is or how to use it. Is the Bitcoin ETF the safest route to now invest in it? If somebody's looking
by a long shot. It just is. Right? You're just getting Bitcoin. Bitcoin's kind of the bellwether of this space. And so first step, Bitcoin ETF is a great way to start.
Yeah. I agree.
Does the crypto community care about decentralization anymore?
There's part of it that cares a ton about it. The crypto market doesn't care about it, but there are people in the community, Joe Lubin at Consensus or Hayden over at Uniswap, that their whole life is around decentralization. And I think, we'll see, right? With privacy, we might have already lost privacy. I mean, decentralization matters for privacy.
Yeah.
And, it's just so you go through the airport now, you don't even use your passport because they already have your face.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what privacy do I got? They know who I am, and so it's a question that I think about all the time because half the reason I got into this thing was decentralization.
Yeah,
I really believe in people's right to privacy, and we finally have these zero knowledge chains that are ready for prime time, and so a lot of the apps that can give you privacy, right? A buddy wants me to guarantee his mortgage or his rent payment, and the bank sends me, "Hey, send me your balance sheet." I don't want to send you my balance sheet. Who are you? I'll send you a note from my accountant that says Mr. Novogratz has enough money to cover this.
Yeah.
But that can all get baked in through zero knowledge systems where it says, hey, you tell me and I'll give you a yes or no. Same thing with your driver's license. Why on your driver's license do you need your address, right? You're a 21-year-old girl and some hulking bouncer is looking and says, oh, you live down the road from me. Like she doesn't necessarily want to give her address to that guy, right? So there's so many, both small things and big things, your health records, your voting. Right, we should be voting on a blockchain, but your privacy should be protected. But they should know you're from Atlanta and you're 32 years old and you're Hispanic or whatever the grid they want. You can do all that without giving your name.
Mike, I want to thank you for your time. Before you leave, though, I do want to ask an unrelated question, conspiracy theory type question.
Yes.
So you're one of the richest people in the world, right? So maybe you can help us understand this. Why all the billionaires are building bunkers?
Because they're weird. It's just weird. I mean, really. Like I was telling someone, if it really is the end of the world, I'm going to be here with my people. I'm going to have a bottle of Jack Daniels. I'm going to be screaming up at the guys who are taking us out. I've seen this a few times. This idea that I'm so special, I just think it's bullshit. I think the guys that are building bunkers are weird, and I'm going to leave it at that.
All right.
I thought you were gonna go down a different road, but okay.
Yeah, I did too. But I love the answer.
Yeah. Because we've been looking for Vitalik for a few months now. He's been pretty quiet. Just wondering what your thoughts around that.
Gem of the crypto space. Whenever that guy speaks, I listen. I think he's one of the first guys I've ever seen that's like beyond money. Like, think about it. Vitalik could have launched anything and made $1 billion overnight, and he could have done it 7 times in a row. And he never cared about the money. He cared about helping orchestrate a system that could change the world for the better. And so I hold him on the pedestal as the #1 guy in crypto.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
My final question for you: what does the Democratic Party need to do in the next election to be able to win, given the shellacking they faced in this one?
Yeah, I think it's, unfortunately, it's not so complicated. They needed to be a little bit more common sense. They needed to get away from issues that people didn't care about, or at least the minority cared about, but the broad part of the party didn't care about. They needed to do what they say they're going to do, right? We're the party of, democracy, yet we had no primary. We wouldn't let anyone run against Biden. We kept an 84-year-old man in way too long, or an 82-year-old man, and then we had no primary for Harris. Like, that's
anti-free speech.
That dog don't hunt. That dog don't hunt. Worrying about, trans athletes when 85% of the country thinks you want to, live a certain way. I'm okay with it, but it's not fair. You're competing in sports. Again, where's the bulk of the country there? Like when we had Hamas protests. Listen, the Mideast thing was a very, complicated issue, but it turned out to feel like people are celebrating and protesting in colleges a terrorist group. And that dog don't hunt either. And so the Democrats kept getting caught up on the wrong issues. Mm-hmm. The right issues were complicated anyway. How do we help the bulk, the 70% of Americans that don't think the country's going in the right direction? And that's not easy. Right. And so focusing on there, a guy like Josh Shapiro, who's in the center, would have done so much better if he had a shot. Because Trump was not a great candidate. Right. Trump tapped into the Democratic base. Right.
He was a great kind of
uneducated working people of America that said, we're sick of this shit. And so I'm hoping he does well.
There you have it, Mike. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
To the news outlets, please don't clip up him saying they're weird and make that a thing. Y'all have a history of taking, please, por favor.
Publications, please.
Yes.
For bunker play.
All right. So what's your thoughts on his commentary?
I thought he was spot on. I think there's going to be extreme concentration. And I don't know if the crypto market cares about decentralization. It's the thing I brought up a couple years ago. And I kept saying, for those of you who were enthusiasts in crypto, do you want to alert the powers that be how powerful this is? Because if we can be honest, if it wasn't for Bitcoin and Ethereum getting these great gains, I don't know if Tesla and NVIDIA will be able to print 100, 200% gains in a year. But I think the 250 projection of Bitcoin is spot on. Given the right set of economic circumstances, I think we can get there. If so, though, debt's GDP would probably be at 140, and that would be incredibly scary for the country.
Yeah, I think it's another case of follow the money, right? Like if he's telling you who's meeting with the administration, right? What is their role? right? Like if you follow that pipeline of what he's saying and who's there and what their holdings are, right? These are their interests. They're going to make sure that their interests are first and foremost. Before anybody, we're going to make sure that our interests are first to bat. So following that, but then that last piece about Vitalik being the most important, I guess you can't.
That was interesting.
Or face to whoever created Bitcoin, right? So he would be the next thing.
The agency.
That's very follow it. Follow each trail. Each trail will lead you to the next one, and they'll get you to an answer of where you need to be. So when he talks about Solana, there's a reason. There's a reason there, right? When he's talking about Bitcoin, obviously for the reasons, and he's been 98 is crazy, but there's a reason. Yeah, right. Follow money, and as well as the stable coins. Like that, I haven't heard anybody break down that analysis of a stable coin the way he just did. Like that alone, that information right there, it tells you a lot about how it, because we look at it from a standpoint of, can we trust it? If we put our money there, will our dollar be our dollar tomorrow? Will a dollar, right? 3 months from now, will it still be a dollar? Yep. And how that plays out internationally. Very interesting.
Also to be hedged no matter who's in office. Shout out to you MAGA boys who keep messaging me. Listen, I did incredibly well under Trump. I called a lot of great prices under that administration, given the volatility. Your portfolio has to perform well regardless. I remember in 2016, when I called my dad the night after the election, like he was like, regardless of who's in office, you still have to produce as a man to figure out which sectors are going to do well, stick to your plan, help people, and you'll be A-okay. We are entering some tricky times with this debt for sure. I mean, you can hear it in this sentiment. We'll probably get to 150 debt to GDP ratio maybe in 5 years, which is insane to think about because next year will be the 5th year of us doing the show. It's crazy to think the debt can be that high when like Clinton left office. I think debt to GDP was what, 88, 89?
But another thing that would fit well in his thesis of as long as the debt continues to grow, Bitcoin goes up, but then gold will go up as well.
Absolutely.
If that continues, because that's another hedge for inflation.
I was just watching a chart. It's interesting. Like since the election, gold actually trended down, which is inverse to that. But long term, it should, right? Based on what he said.
Yeah, long term it will.
It should be. Yeah.
Yeah. Mike, he's a very intelligent guy. He's a very smart person. And he's one of the richest people in the world. So he has to know what he's talking about.
Hard to argue with those results.
Bought Bitcoin at $98.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can't argue with that. We tried to give you the play. Tell him, Rashad. That was my favorite moment of last week.
That was good.
For y'all. Try to.
Blackout.
Legendary.
Blackout. If you like the blackout energy, yes, in chat, maybe we can recreate. It gotta be a moment though. We can't just do this randomly. It gotta be like specific moments to kind of rally up that kind of emotion. So
they say you took my leather jacket and pineapple juice. So yeah,
they're waiting for the pineapple juice.
Gotta do it. Gotta do it.
I still have the video of the pineapple juice.
Classic moment. Classic moment. Yeah. So
shout out to all the Puerto Ricans.
Oh my God.
So
God is good and so are y'all.
We talked about Bitcoin. We talked about Bitcoin a lot. So the next thing, let's talk about stocks. S&P 500. It's been hitting record highs. Where does the stock market go from here?
To the moon.
Fact.
I mean, because of Bitcoin, like I keep stressing this, all investors are competing against each other now. So if I think we're at 28% for the year. Bitcoin can't have the return that it's having and S&P drags. At some point, there has to be a restructuring of the S&P, I think. But the market's only going to go up. And if inflation is going to continue to run, the S&P has to give a multiple of what inflation is. That's the formula. If inflation is 6%, the S&P has to at least double that. Now the numbers have gotten astronomically past that, but like the formula is indexes. That's why the bond market that's why he said if it's at 4%, I don't want to hold an asset for 20 or 30 years to get a 4% return. You're going to be net negative at that point. So the S&P will do incredibly well. We're hitting numbers and that I never thought we would hit this quickly, but it's the greatest lesson that you will always learn. You have to park your money into vehicles. Like I was talking to Ish earlier. He was like, should I buy Bitcoin now? Should I wait? I'm like, wait for a price. But I'm like, well, I can get in for a week and get out. I'm like, hold this shit for a long period of time. I know the short-term gain seems sexy, but something is going to go wrong. A tweet is going to go out. Legislation is going to get passed. But if you hold this for a long period of time, you'll be A-okay, especially a 4 or 5 year period.
Yeah, just from a historical standpoint, over the past 75 years, this is not like theory. This is actual facts. Over the past 75 years, we've always talked about the best months to invest in. The best month to invest in for the S&P, November. Average return is 1.8%.
Yep.
The best month to invest in the Dow is tied, November and April, 1.8% return.
Yeah, that's after the hedge fund money comes in March. Yep.
The best month to invest in the NASDAQ is January, 2.7%. And number 2 is November, 2.1%. So we're talking about the major indexes on average for the past 75 years. November is the best month
of the year.
Yes, we saw there was an election. So it was like, oh, wait, this is exponential growth. But on average,
for the course. Yep.
Right. It's on course with what the past 75 years has shown. In fact, November, December, and January. Do you know what the average return is for those months over the past 75 years?
All three combined?
Combined.
I think 5.5%.
6.5%.
Yeah.
Just for those 3 months. So if somebody's like, when should I get into the market? When should I open my brokerage account? Yeah. When should I start investing? The best month of the calendar year is November. The best 3 months that you're going to see are November, December, and January, historically over the past 75 years.
And on the hedge fund side, when you have new clients coming into the fourth quarter, you think they want to bring clients in and they're losing money? We told, this is why InvestFest, okay, if you guys were at InvestFest and you invested then, that Monday, how much would you be up now? I hear the criticism. What I don't hear often is the execution of if you bought the shit that we talked about. You had a whole Nick Cannon drum line up there telling you what to buy. Like August and September, the market is down. The last quarter is going to run. If I made you money, please put yes in chat.
And speaking of that, market calendars on November 25th, special show leading up to Thanksgiving. We will be doing something for Black Friday. Stay tuned. But it was something that we've never done before. Let's just say that. And it's a jointly combined situation. So
the other trilateral commission.
November 25th, the market Mondays before Black Friday. Stay tuned. Mark your calendars. Watch the show because it's going to be a limited type thing. So in real time, happening in real time. Watch the show.
Yeah.
Situation.
Yeah. November 1st, if you invested in the NASDAQ, you're up 6%.
Easy. Finito.
Just by mistake. Like,
yeah,
you're up 6%. You didn't know anything.
Yep. You think we'll have a strong Christmas rally?
I think so.
Well,
I think there's another Fed rate cut coming.
That's crazy. They cut after he got. I said, what?
Well, another thing that we didn't get a chance to talk to him about, but his prediction also before the election, I don't know if it still stands, was that he thought that if Harris won, the stock market was going to go down and then it was going to come back up. And he thought if Trump won, the stock market was going to go up and then over the long haul go down. So it fulfilled the first part of that prophecy where it's going up. But now we have to see if the second part of the prophecy is true, where it's actually going to go down.
On that special show, I have some numbers marked out for us.
Yeah. Dow's up 6% and S&P up 5%. So 6, and 5.
I will continue. Well, thank God it wasn't another 6 tied to that. But for everyone listening, I want to keep saying this. We are investing in the companies that moves the GDP of the country. There's no room for the 9th best thing or things that used to be great and fell off. Yeah. It's over with.
And we gave you the ETF literally last week. You want to invest in the best companies? Here's an ETF you can use.
Yes, please execute. And I will say this wealth gap these next 4 to 5 years, wider than ever. East Orange going up, West Orange. I said, damn, what?
South to East Orange.
For real. Crazy. Jersey City don't even look like the Jersey City I saw when I was in college in 03. What?
This dude's worth $300 billion with no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, he'll be the first announced American trillionaire for sure. I'm telling you, when Starlink go public, Starlink may be the greatest startup in the history of our country. Like, we have another natural disaster, the government is going to be forced to pay them to put satellites across the country. Broadband access is satellite access is going to be needed for sure. Yeah. And he saved Boeing's fucking Starship that failed. He may be an evil dictator, but the boy's smart. I told you, he one of the greatest whites of all time. I'm not gonna hold you, boy. Whew. I know his daddy profited from apartheid. I know you're gonna give me the comments, but the kid is clever. You got to give it to him.
Defense AI.
That's the new business to government. When Zuckerberg didn't say anything about this election, I said, oh, I see the love. Because for those you don't know, he stole the Oculus idea from Lucky from Andrew, right? So now that Lucky's still mad at him, I saw the little Palantir team up. I said, oh, the business to government AI data play.
Yeah.
You maxed out the consumer market.
And you talk about, so even what Mike was just saying, like, how do we cut spending? The one way he said was like, if we have AI really efficiently taking jobs at scale that cut costs. When you're talking about defense spending, instead of buying planes and missiles and tanks, now it's drones. Now it's satellites. That's going to cut spending.
Maybe not, because it's like those things are going to cost a lot of money, especially in the beginning stages, and then the bureaucracy to actually get that through and
for the markup.
Exactly. So maybe not. It might even be more. You know how much just one of these high profile, like the supercomputer, one of those, like, so it's going to be difficult. I think that's what he was saying. Like, there's no way to, and we talked about that on Blackout. Like, where are you going to cut spending at? It's going to be difficult.
It's tough. You can't cut entitlements. It'll destroy part of the country. They already want to move the retirement age up. I've seen some things on Reddit for some people that were like former economists that there may not be a retirement age at one point in 15 years.
Close.
Social Security, run dry, pensions, finito. So,
yeah, I think what you're saying is correct, right? That the CapEx to get that off the ground is going to cost. Especially if I run a company, for sure.
A lot of money.
Yeah, but that's in the short term. Long term, it becomes more efficient.
But then it also gets more competitive too.
Well, that helps.
There's always new things.
Competition helps pricing.
Yeah.
But then also it's more like the first iPhone. Like, iPhone now is more expensive than it's ever been. You would have thought that it would have got cheaper. Theoretically, it's like, okay, we had iPhone inflation. 20 years, right?
Yep.
By now, we should be able to get an iPhone for $100 because it's easy to make. They mass produced it, but now the iPhone is damn near. How much? $1,500 for iPhone?
$7. Yeah, if you get the Pro Max,
depends on what the different models.
And when it first came out, how much was it?
Like $500,
something like that.
It was $499.
Yeah, it's $500.
It's not far off.
It's 3x, but I'm just saying, like, so theoretically, it should be like, all right, it's gonna go down. Nah, technology actually increases. Television now, you're paying $5,000 for a television.
But here's the thing: is that the only phone that's used, though? Right? Like in China,
no,
they're not even top 5.
Yeah, but they have most market share though. For the time being.
For the time, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So like competition we'll see
slowly creeping. Yeah. I will say that for sure. Keep your eyes on that business to government AI drone race. Keep saying, if tech is the new hedge fund, what's the new hedge fund? The drone and data play.
The data play. We're
not leaving war. Trust me. So
no, it's never gonna. And that's why Elon Musk is gonna become even more powerful. His satellites, his technology, SpaceX. Neuralink, all these different things that he has in the works. That's it's only going to spend. I think that throughout history, if history is any indicator, civilizations have only spent more and more and more and more and more on war, right? Like from when Rome was fighting to when Greece, to First World War, to Vietnam. It's never going down. Spending, and as technology has advanced, the price of these things have advanced as well. The spear was free; you just had to make it, right? And then the machine gun came, then the atomic bomb came, and then the missiles came. So I just think we're just going to keep spending more money. I don't know how we're going to cut. I don't think we're ever going to be able to cut the budget. I don't think so. I just don't see that.
And war is one of our greatest GDP drivers.
And it's the guarantee throughout human history. There's never been a time in human history that was not war.
Forced conflict. Yeah.
Always going to be.
So I don't know how we're going to do it.
How to cut the debt? I don't.
We're just going to start taxing every American 60% of their income.
But then that's happening in France and everyone's leaving.
But that's what I'm saying.
Well, you just create a secretary of budget cutting. Create your own title. I'll figure it out.
Elon's going to be. This shit is like an Iron Man movie, but for strategically,
it's happening though. It's like it's here.
Hold your crypto.
Well played.
Hold your crypto. Hold your gold. And then like the guy like Mike, these guys stay close to money. That's one thing. Like these guys stay close to money. So
this is in theory.
Yeah, for sure. So if he's saying this, then he's not just saying it for no reason.
I think we undershot it at 6 billion.
Well, that's what's online.
Probably. Yeah, especially after this last week. You see how happy he was when he
I think 6 might be an undershot.
Yeah, he made it hit an extra B this week.
Yeah, I feel like when we spoke to him last time and when it was at 30, we said that. So now.
Oh, yeah.
Congrats to him, though.
Yeah.
And shout out to Dave and Mel, too. Shout out to those guys. Good dudes.
Shout out to Cedric Nash. I didn't need you to send what you sent, but
oh no, he would not allow us not to.
I'm like, you gonna force them to take the money?
Yeah,
cool, bro. No,
literally.
Hey, bro, please.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, he texted me like, tell the guy. I'm like, it's cool.
Yeah. Shout out to Cedric. So if you had to start all over today, what would you do as far as if you're trying to get on the wealth journey?
It's a great question. It's more competitive than ever. On the investment side, it's easy. VO, VTI, Apple, Microsoft. If you're not feeling Apple, I would swap it out for NVIDIA. But business-wise, I think it's a lot more competitive. But the main thing is to master one thing that you're great at. Like Mike is concentrated into crypto. Michael Saylor, crypto, me investing, you guys media, then you expand into investing, right? Like you have to concentrate on one thing. That's always going to work until the end of time. The best baseball players get the biggest contracts, best investors get paid the most. But I would focus, I for sure, because of inflation, I think, and I've been saying this in Red Panda for maybe about 2 months, it's mandatory that you put 40% of your money into the market now. You don't have an option. You as an entrepreneur, them first 4 years when you're trying to figure it out, you're not going to outpace the S&P or Bitcoin or NVIDIA or iBit or Tesla on this run or Eli Lilly or Lockheed. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You have to put your money into assets that are going to make more money than you are and put them into better entrepreneurs than you are, for sure.
The rich get richer.
Yes.
The rich get richer while the poor get poorer, for sure.
But what about you guys? What would you do different?
Well, you
got to start over.
No, you got to invest. You got to invest. You got to invest in Microsoft. You got to invest in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. I think that's important to kind of figure that part out. You got to figure out how to start a business, because to be honest with you, there's no job security anymore
at all. And,
headed into this next 20 years is going to be a situation where if you don't have it, it's not going to happen for you, because the gap is going to become so, like, the value of money is just getting decreased so much. You see Elon Musk, he's going to become a trillionaire, but there's going to be at least 5 trillionaires, they said, over the next 10 years. There's going to be 5 people on paper.
Yep.
That have net worth over $1 trillion. It took
individually.
It took 180 years for one publicly traded company to reach $1 trillion. Now we're about to have probably $10 trillion companies in the next 5 years. Like the value of money is decreased. Now it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean the same. A billion about to be the new 100 million. Like $1 billion is about to be like the new 100 million. When you talking about me and I, because they talking about $1 billion
for real.
Remember when they first started giving out the $100 million sports contract? It was like, damn, $100 million.
That was
now they giving out billion. They're gonna.
Who's that?
It's right around the corner.
Yeah, the $1 billion contract is right around the corner.
65 this year. That's
a billion about to be the next 100 million. So
KG was the first one in '96.
Like, if man, it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be really difficult. So you're gonna have to accelerate it. But like you said, just overly investing, being intelligent, maximizing your gains, saving your money, having revenue come in consistently, low overhead.
You got to have multiple sources of income, right? Like in 2017, I had a SkyTrade account. This is no joke. This is like people, if you were investing in that time, you had to pay $7 to make a trade. And when you try to sell that trade, you had to pay another $7. Off rip, you're losing $14, right? Those days are gone. I didn't have capital, right, to really make substantial gains. In 2017, we were up all night in crypto. It didn't sleep, so we didn't sleep. We're trying to figure this thing out. We're learning.
Study like crazy.
We study it. We holding meetings. Like we was all there. And I think we came to your apartment one day and was just like, yo, we're not leaving until we figure this out. We need to figure out how to get a code. We need to figure out what these hard wallets are, cold wallets are. We need to figure this thing out. We was there. Yeah. We didn't have the same amount of capital, right? So there's a difference. What's different now, we started a business. Now you have more income. Now you can invest more. That is the key. Right, like investing. I told everybody, like when we see people in public, they're like, "Yo, if you had to stop doing everything else, would you be okay?" Yes. We have a skill set, right? And as long as the American economy doesn't figure out how to crash the market on a long-term basis, we'll be okay.
Yeah,
there's a skill set, but as long as we have businesses and as long as we have income coming in that we can now put into a brokerage, bro, we're gonna be fine. That's you gotta have income that you can put into an account to invest. It's the only way.
And all the most profitable skill sets that you need are not going to be talked about publicly. For 20 years, they told people to learn coding, and now large language models are in, and it's over with for coding. It's over. I hate to say it. Yes, can you still get a job in coding? Yes. Can you still make $1 million a year and some change? It's over with. It's over with. So
still good jobs, and jobs are okay.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with job, but I'm talking. But if now you're getting paid $150, but all the houses cost $700,000.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
The other people in Atlanta paying $7,000 for a 2-bedroom in Midtown. I'm like, what?
It's like the
okay,
Marcus Cousins meme. Like it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
It's really ridiculous.
Yes.
Well, we talked about stocks that's going to do good under Trump. We're talking about stocks that's going to do bad under him. Renewable energy?
Fucked. Let's be real. Not going to do well. Yes. Renewable energy, I don't see, especially with the lobbying power that Chevron and Exxon has in combination with him not liking that sector anyway, won't do well. Small banks, done for. Won't do well.
Small and regional?
Yeah, small and regional banks. It's going to be tough. What about tech? Because if he really does put these tariffs in place,
I was going to go there.
Then that could negatively affect the tech industry.
Salesforce, you're done. No, I'm joking.
No, don't do that.
The ones outside of the top 20, it's going to be tough. I feel bad for a company like the ones that get hit with inflation and tariff, like a Zillow. I don't know how to recover. Mike, I don't know how to say Peloton. Don't know how to recover. Don't know. I hope you get all the coins in the world. I'm just being real. Zoom, don't know how they recover. Some of those dandies that happened in 4 years ago, if inflation doubles, cost of goods are going up and people have less money to spend while companies are hiring less. Everything is a returns gain. Even if you come down to the presidency In the election, he really won off of I'm going to have more money in your pockets. Every company is going to have to find a way to give a return.
Which countries? I mean, I think China comes to the front of mind when you think about tariffs. But yeah, I agree with Shadi that affects the technology, specifically the AI and semiconductor economy, if tariffs are being placed. Do you think they'll go through with that?
It'll be a mistake. There may be sector-based tariffs, but the plan that he initially talked about, it'll cripple the country. We can't afford our debt. Now, if debt to GDP was 75 and we were in a leverage position, but can we put a bunch of tariffs on our financial parent? Won't go well. I used to think I ran my mom's house when I was in my mom's house, and then I was like, oh, not so much. You know what I mean? You're in high school, the person who paid the bills make the rules.
Yeah.
But we can't go to, because then at some point you are committing an act of war that will upset them. Because everyone who says this won't happen, war is not always rational. Every leader that we have is not a rational thinker. To have one in office that's going to be office is not always rational. If you put the tariffs too high, you're going to force them to go get Taiwan Semiconductor and Taiwan. You can't afford it. Can't afford it.
But even outside of tech, after the election, we saw e-commerce, international e-commerce. So this is another space that tariffs are going to affect. So, and we talked about Melly. We love Melly, MELI ticker, probably right. I mean, these are spaces that type of talk affects.
It's going to have an impact on.
Right. They actually had a drawdown after the election because of this proposed idea of having tariffs on international e-commerce. And
if Amazon doesn't improve that profit margin, they're going to have some. I know they deal well after the election, but if they don't improve their profit margin, it's going to hurt them. But companies like Ford, tough. You are going to have a tough time. It's going to be tough. Yeah.
Automotive companies
in general. Yep.
Which is Elon. That's interesting, but he's been very big on not really pursuing the renewable energy and electric cars and all of that. So that would negatively affect even Elon Musk.
Yeah, but he's gonna knock on that door.
He's gonna make sure that.
Hey, my guy, how you doing? If you thought Kanye was happy to see Trump, imagine how Elon feeling.
Hey, about that, we're gonna need some more charging stations. I know what you said, but we're gonna need that. Yeah. And we spoke about this with Bill Gates in terms of AI and technology and its impact. Wall Street Journal wrote an article about Chegg. Remember that company?
Yes.
Educational online platform. Pull up that stock. That's that chart. This is how disruptive AI can be. This is an online educational platform that people used to go to. Kids
at $1.80.
They are down 99%. 99%.
Tough.
During the pandemic, Zoom, we saw them, right? Because it was we were home. Who's going to be our tutor? Who's going to help us with our work? AI, ChatGPT specifically has come in, and now that is your kid's tutor. Absolutely. That is who you're going for help. Literally, that stock has dropped 99%. Telltale sign of what AI what it can do to an industry.
And at one time, people considered this like a top 5 stock in that space for the next 3 or 4 years, and now they're at under $2.
Great. When I read, I couldn't believe it. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. And also, if they plan to dismantle the Department of Education, most institutional or educational platforms are going to go through a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's reform that is happening.
Damn, you can't even short Chegg at $1.80. Jesus.
Yeah, it's that bad.
That is crazy.
It's that bad.
So, but yeah, put 40% of your money into the market. If you say you can't do it, I understand. 4 years will go by fast. Things are going to cost double in 4 years. Some people even saying real estate going to go up another 50%. I can see it in the major cities.
Oof.
I can see it. Just think over the last 8 years how much more expensive housing got.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to live here.
Yep. That's why you all should go to Ghana. International arbitrage. Keep telling you. And some of y'all quit running to Mexico too, because y'all driving them prices up too. Go elsewhere. Go to
Please.
Papua New Guinea.
Respectfully.
For real.
All right.
What do we know?
All right. Anything else we need to cover?
No, I just thought you had an amazing performance on Blackout. I want more of that energy from you, please.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
I get one more of them episodes, I'm going to bring the leather jacket back for real.
Appreciate it. Well, tune in this Wednesday. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know what to expect.
They said stop him.
Nope.
Anything is possible.
Troy, you should stop. Nope.
Nope.
Anything is possible. Sometimes,
That's my meme.
you got to do it.
Yep.
It's entertainment.
Meme me up, bro.
America was built on entertainment. America runs on Duncan. So, you
A weekly run.
gotta do it. Gotta do it.
Making a band, Citadel edition.
That's a fact, man. Oh man. All right. Okay. Well, I think that was a very educational, to the point episode. Spoke to Mike Novogratz. Great insight on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Very valuable. You gotta take advantage. Gotta execute.
Please do. How much money do you think people lost out on if they started with, let's say, 20 grand? They didn't listen to us in the last 4 years.
They started with 20?
Mm-hmm.
But that's tough to even quantify.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
You lost the games, your girl. It's tough, bro. Even if you move to a new place, some of the newer
Categories of losses.
Facts. They want to see 6 months of, hey, man, the economy is going to get tighter and tighter.
Yeah. Income-based loan don't look the same anymore.
True. Then you got Lotto calling you a brokey every 2 weeks. Shout to Lotto.
Yo, we gonna pray for everybody, man. Even if they don't want them.
Facts.
Right. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, Blackout this Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Tune in to Earn Your Leisure at 9 o'clock Thursday. We will be talking about the Ghana play in full detail. Real estate, how to buy a home, international arbitrage. We're going to have Shaka Bars on. We're going to have the guys from Ghana on. If you've been interested and you see us posted about Ghana Thursday, we're going to give the full explanation. We're going to break it down. We're going to give you the game. And that's important. That's vitally important for sure. Get the book. You Deserve to Be Rich. Book.com. The offer's still running. Black Friday, we have something that we're going to do. We'll be announcing it the Monday before Black Friday. Stay tuned.
Stock Club call this Wednesday. Check Telegram. Go to ininvest.com if you want to get rich from the market and never have to guess where to get in. Shout out to the 2 new millionaires in Red Panda. I'm proud of you. And tune into Blackout this Wednesday. Oh, and Stock Club prices will be out this week as well.
That's a fact. And then also, EY University, we have a call this Thursday at 7 o'clock. So right before the episode, 7 o'clock, we got a call for all the earners. Estate planning 101 with my dad and a few other people that's going to be on that. So estate planning 101, wills, trust, life insurance, all that type of stuff. Thursday at 7 o'clock. And shout out to everybody that came to the EY University meetup in Houston. Great vibes. We'll be doing different cities throughout the course of the next year. So Art Basel, we're going to head back to Art Basel this year too. We'll be announcing that information soon. So stay tuned for that. But Miami, we will be coming.
Always the time. Always the time.
We're back.
Right at 11.
Hey, we cannot leave this episode, and I need everybody to go do me a favor. Somebody that's very important to the EYL ecosystem. It is Ab's birthday this week. I want to wish him a huge happy birthday to the youngest in charge, one of the hardest working dudes, one of the most consistent.
How old Ab gonna be? 25?
He actually gonna be 28, man. He's getting older.
Okay.
Yeah, but his maturity goes beyond those years. So I want to wish him a happy birthday. It's been an incredible journey watching him from a 10-year-old, 9-year-old to where he's at now. It's been incredible. So happy birthday, my brother. Everybody go show him love. Valid Soul on Instagram. Go show that boy some love, man.
Yeah. Happy belated birthday, Ladoon.
Doon. I saw that. Happy birthday, my guy.
Shout out to my guy. Go check on your people, man. Like, people are going through it. I'll say that and leave it at that. Please go check on your people. And
he's gonna kill me if I don't shout out his birthday as well. Bam, happy birthday. Happy birthday, my brother. It was Dan's birthday as well this week, man. Shout out to Vincent. If you've ever been around Vincent,
big vibe.
It is an experience.
But big vibe.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, salute, man. Happy birthday to everybody. God bless. Stay safe out there. Congratulations to Christian also on his season.
Yes.
I was going to end with that, but go ahead.
Yeah, congratulations for sure. So shout out to everybody out there that finished up fall sports. We headed into winter sports now. Basketball and volleyball, or whatever other sports you play in the winter.
Yeah.
So facts. It's that time.
Yeah.
It's that time of year.
He finished up his football season in a championship game yesterday. They lost with 1 second to go. They had a chance to win. They didn't. It was this first season. They finished the season 8-1. So shout out to everybody. Shout out to you for pulling up. A bunch of people came out and supported him throughout the season. And so that was dope, man.
Shout out to my guy. That's amazing.
It was a tough loss, but it's okay.
Builds character.
You learn a lot in defeat. Resilience, determination.
What not to do. Yep.
Yeah. So sometimes you got to lose to learn how to win, man. So
and shout out to some of my market makers. Shout out to Deion Sanders. You know, we had a conversation a few years ago, and I actually personally predicted that by year 3 he was going to contend.
Don't do that.
I didn't say that.
Don't do that.
By year 3,
which conversation you talking about? In Miami?
Yes.
No, you didn't.
I said by year 3 he would contend.
Rashad personally,
he's gonna turn it around next
by year 3. Wait,
I said by year 3 he would contend for.
You said he. Okay, go.
Oh
yeah.
First year was going to be a rough 500 season.
Yeah.
And it was below 500. I said second year, he going to be in the top of the conference. By year 3, he going to compete for national championship.
All right, let's pause there. I'll let you keep going. The first one was ridiculously wrong. Yes? They won 2 games.
They won 4 games.
They won 2 games.
They won 4 games.
I think they won 2 games.
They won 4
All right, they won 4 games last year.
What are you talking about? They won.
All right, they won 4 games.
It wasn't that far off, but yeah, it was wrong.
All right,
but I quickly made up
hold
for
on,
that in year 2.
The second one we can't really quantify because the Pac-12 don't exist anymore.
It's still coming. Oh, now we're gonna do.
No, when we would
no. Hold
on. When we had the conversation, they were in the Pac-12. Yeah. I said that, and there was a couple other people there, but that the statement's not accurate. But they were in the Pac-12. I said USC was going to have a better season.
What's not accurate about the statement?
You said that they were going to.
Yeah, they were 4-8 his first year.
They were 4-8 the first year.
Yeah,
I said that by the second year they was going to compete for the championship or for the conference. They're doing that. No. They're not doing that.
Competing for the conference championship?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. They got a chance to play in the Big 12 championship.
What I said that they were going to do in year 3, he actually did in year 2. So shout out to
the listen. There's one thing I'm gonna tell you.
That's not true.
You did say the first year was gonna be rough. By the third year, they would be.
I said people national championship, and they doing that in year 2. They doing that in year 2.
I said he's gonna have to. It's gonna take
it's gonna be difficult.
I said it's gonna take his own recruiting class. You said he's gonna get this shit jumping right away.
He did.
He didn't get it jumping right away. They was 4-8. That's what I said. It's not okay, and they're not going to get it jumping right away. So I said it's going to take him to get a recruiting class in there, and then you're going to see some change.
You said it's going to be tough for years.
I did.
You was like, he's not going to compete
don't do that.
A conference championship.
Don't do that.
You say he's not going to compete for a conference championship.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I never said that. That's crazy.
Congratulations to Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter. Shiloh.
After Shador leave, how long do you think Deion going to continue to coach?
He's leaving next year.
Things out?
Yeah, of course.
Shador top 5.
You know, Deion stay close to the money.
Shador top 5.
Stay close to the money. Deion stay close to
Travis top 5.
But that boy right in Vegas.
I seen a report that the Giants package deal with Deion as the coach and Shador.
Not a bad look. Not a bad look. Giants.
Now I don't want any criticism when Deion does with the Manning family did when they decided that listen, San Diego is not a market I want Eli to play in. And they said, look, if you draft him, he's not going.
Yeah.
So if the Giants aren't the number 1 pick and it ends up being the Browns, and he's like, we ain't going to Cleveland.
He's not going to Cleveland.
I want the same level of understanding that was given to the Manning family when Eli said, I'm not going to San Diego and went to New York. Obviously, they won 2 championships. I want Deion to put Shador in the limelight. I need him to come to New York. I'm not a Giants fan. I'm a Washington fan. But New York deserves stars. We need stars.
Shout out to the Prom.
Shador is a star. We need
Shout out to Prom Dynasty.
we need stars in New York.
Travis,
Put my boy in Vegas, please.
Vegas,
Real quick.
Vegas, he might. Dion might like Vegas.
He'll run a town day one.
He said he's gonna choose. If it's not a situation that they think is gonna be best for him, he's not going.
Yeah,
Jacoby, I got you. Oh, happy belated birthday to Jacoby. Appreciate you.
Shout.
Sounds good in theory.
Wait, who's your football team? I don't think I've ever heard.
I don't have a football team. I only
team. All right,
rock with the players who rock with me.
All right,
team.
Okay, going with that route. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just a player. I support players. Okay.
Hey, shout out to the Raiders, shout out to the Dolphins. I'm rocking who rock with me. Hey.
Yo, Bitcoin 87? Oh my gosh.
Not a bad return from 20,000. Rashad, I need blackout energy again this week, please. Por favor.
Let's do it. We're gonna rock out.
I owe you 2 champagne bottles from last year too for a bet, don't I? Yeah, when I see you,
you owe me
both of y'all.
You owe me a champagne bottle too. We'll talk about that.
What
All right,
can I get my champagne?
Got you.
That's my new